Hey everybody, and welcome to Let's Look at Vostok Inc. Maybe Vostok Inc., I'm not totally sure. I don't speak fictional Russian town names as a primary language. That might be a real town name, and now I'm just alienating everybody. But hey, I'm stalling because I need to tell you that this is a sponsored video. I have been sponsored by the publisher of the game to talk to you about Vostok Inc. today, but I've also played about 2.5 hours of this off camera, and you should know by now we only take sponsored stuff that we actually like. So I vetted the game, I played it for quite a while, and it's a cool mix of space shoot-'em-up mechanics plus incremental or idle game mechanics, you know, stuff like Adventure Capitalist or Cookie Clicker, I guess, are the major hallmarks there. Now, admittedly, I have much more experience with the space shoot-'em-ups than I do with the incremental stuff, but it's kind of a unique mixture, and moreover, it kind of makes me wonder if this is the start of the idle game influence on indie games, because it really does seem like a mechanic that you can apply to all sorts of games without muddling it like crazy like Fortnite. But anyway, regardless, this is a sponsored video. Take it as an advertisement, as much as entertainment, as much as information, and there will be a link in the video description below for you to pick up Vostok Inc. It is $15 American on Steam. Let's get started here. So I'm going to press the space button. This is a keyboard and mouse game, or rather, just a keyboard game. And I'm going to do my best to explain just what the heck's going on here, because there are many, many layers at play here to speak of. We're playing as this little ship here. We fly around with WASD and shoot with the arrow keys. Our health is 77 out of 77. Our energy is 27 out of 27. And our energy also feeds into our shield, which I am depleting right now by using this boost. So it functions on a very similar mechanic to a lot of games. Maybe the biggest hallmark there would be Halo. When your shields go down, you take damage, and when your damage is, or when your health is 0, you don't die. In this case, you actually enter an escape pod, and then you try to escape back to this thing, which is Mother Base. And I'll fly back here. It's on our map right there. When you dock at Mother Base, you get full HP and energy, and you can buy stuff, but I'll talk about that in a moment. In the top right here, we have our money, our moolah. So right now I have $11.64 million. What is this coming from? Well, it's coming from the solar system. So I really shouldn't have $11 million, but to be honest, I had played for like 2 hours, and then I left the game open earlier this afternoon when I went to the grocery store. I thought it would be an hour. We spent 2.5 hours eating lunch, buying groceries, and doing other various errands, and I came back and I was like, I just blew out the economy. But I think that's kind of a typical experience that you get with these sorts of games, that you're like, I'll leave it open, you know, while I study for a couple hours in the background and come back when I got more money. But basically, each one of these planets is something that we can fly to, colonize, and place buildings on, and then these buildings generate money for us per second. Now, they also can be outfitted with something called, I think it's an automatic transfer module or something like that. It's an ATM. And what that does is it's a satellite that allows you to get the money without actually having to go to the planet. Now, I have explored this entire solar system, but I definitely haven't exploited the whole thing as much as I, pardon me, conceivably could. So let's find a planet that sucks here. 199, 130, 125, 93 per second, 14. Okay, so hilariously, Uranus is like the worst one here. Our goal, ostensibly, is to get as much money as possible. Now, you can do this inefficiently, like a lame wad, by shooting these asteroids. That's one way you can do it. And you can actually spec your ship with upgrades to make shooting asteroids more profitable. But I don't know how viable that is, and that's not the way I want to play this. I really want to sink my teeth into the kind of meatier aspects here. So I'm tracking Uranus, and trust me, I get no pleasure out of that cheap joke, which, as you know, is completely incorrect. By the way, all the while, we are being hunted by the United Federation of, I forget, the United Federation of Officers, let's call them. They're UFOs. They hate us because they're the mafia, and we muscled in on their territory. So instead of them being able to exploit all these planets, they get increasingly angry with you the longer you play, and they send harder and harder swarms of enemies to deal with. But we'll talk about that later once we get into it in more greater detail. Alright, so we've got an ATM here, Auto Transfer Moolah Collector, that's it. And we're making 91 moolah per second. Right now, I only have farms, power stations, and mines. And the mines generate 0.1 moolah per second. It's like child's play, but they're extremely cheap. Although every building that you buy becomes increasingly more expensive. Like our first mine will be 28, our next one's gonna be 33. So there are some like calculations you'll run, I suppose, to see if it's like optimal. We can also buy real estate, but in order to buy real estate, we need to get 256 buildings. Right now we have 162. I kind of feel like we might just want to buy, because of the fact that I went to, I can't buy that many. That hurts me in my soul. Why don't we just buy as many cheap buildings as we can to get that up there? So sure, let's purchase. That's 10 farms. That's an extra 10 per second. We'll purchase 10 power stations. And you can see, by the way, purchasing 10, it's a little expensive. 671. Next one is 2716. Next one's 10,000. So I guess there's probably every 10 you buy, the price roughly quadruples. Is that an easy kind of metric to stick with here? Yeah, that seems relatively good. I hadn't actually thought about that. There we go. 40 farm factories. We're making a lot of money on this planet now. That's going to cost us 282,000. That's, I mean, basically nothing. We're at 232 buildings. Let's buy another 10. I don't really want to spend $4 million on power plants, so we need 4 more buildings. Let's buy 10 more mines. That's easy enough. Okay, so now we've unlocked real estate. Real estate gives us 30 moolah per second. So you can see, basically, I should have had like a visual aid here, but I'm pretty sure in incremental games, from what I hear Nick talking about with Adventure Capitalist and Cookie Clicker, when you first get started, it takes you like 10 minutes to make 1,000. You see upgrades that cost you 10,000 moolah, and you go, I'm never going to get this. And then 10 minutes later, you're making like 1,000 moolah per second. That might be a little bit of an exaggeration, but the economies of scale function like exponentially. You're going straight up. So, you know, this is the first real estate purchase is 81,000. It's pretty pricey. But if you go down the line here, you know, to buy a DERPA facility, it's 40.607 quadrillion. If you want to buy a bank, that's 400 quadrillion. You can get into the quintillions. You can get into the sextillions. It gets to the point that it's ridiculous, but it's a multiplicative effect. You know, everything you buy makes you more money, which allows you to buy more expensive things faster, which allows you to make even more money, and it's a constantly accelerating growth curve if you play it right. This is a really cool mechanic for games, and I'm surprised that it hasn't been used that much outside of its own genre. But anyway, let's purchase some real estate here. I don't really want to buy 42. I'll tell you what, give me 10 for 80,000. That's a pretty smoking deal. You can also buy upgrades that make them more efficient. So, you know what, let's buy another 10. What is that? Let's buy another 10. That's fine by me. So this planet alone is making us 1,200 moolah per second. Yeah, that's correct. We can also upgrade our buildings with these augmentations, or I think they're actually literally called upgrades. Yeah, see the upgrade level there. So if we go to real estate, we get affordable housing. Isn't it funny how cheap housing always requires such costly upkeep? Buy out the repairs company and net a tidy profit with a constant stream of quick, shoddy repairs. So we can buy affordable housing, and it basically doubles the efficiency. Well, it gives us 50% more efficiency, I should say, because it gives us 15 extra production on every single real estate holding that we have. So we'll do that, and we're making even more money here now, obviously. For $1 million, we can get 2.5x efficiency. There we go. So we're making 3,000 a second from this place alone. Now, we can't afford the 10 million one yet, but that's fine. So this is kind of like the central gameplay loop of what we got going on here. You're flying around at the speed of sound. You're shooting ships. Right now, we're going to tear through these guys like butter. That gave us almost no money. 30 moolah. No big deal, right? Every building that you buy on a planet becomes more expensive. So you want to work from the least exploited planets up. Like Venus right now, I haven't even shown up because it's a sulfuric cesspit, and it reminds me of Minmus from Kerbal Space Program, even though Minmus is technically a moon. But I have a lot of like personal emotion tied up in the fact that I couldn't land on that the first time I tried. So by the way, this is our like Art of the Deal dude over here on the right side. He's Gordon Gecko. He shows up and he tells us greed is good from time to time, and occasionally he gives us some tutorialization, although it doesn't happen that often anymore because of the fact that we're pretty far into the game. You might think, you know, it's a lot of mechanics to talk about. You got the shooty, you got the incremental stuff going on here, and you got the upgrade system, but there is more to talk about. You know, there's a lot of layers that happen to this game, and I haven't even, we might as well stop at Mother Base for a second. I haven't even talked about the fact that you can go through wormholes to other solar systems, mostly because I haven't done it. But anyway, I accidentally skipped talking about that. You'll see it in a second. Anyway, or hopefully in a little bit anyway. So I'm going to buy some real estate holdings. Build 40 real estates across 2 planets. What do we need? Build something on 10 planets. So they actually will not let us move to the next tier of loot or next tier of production until we go to another solar system. So that might be where we get kind of capped here. I'll spend another 300 and something thousand. Give me, there's probably, these strike me as the kind of games where you'd actually want to min-max them 100% because there's kind of like a mathematically optimal way to play. I don't know what that is, but I imagine if you played more, you would probably figure it out. So yeah, we're going around here and we're exploiting these planets, but there's also upgrades that we can buy for ourselves. It's not merely about getting the highest number, or highest amount of money made per second. I mean, you can play it like that if you want, and you can actually pretty easily avoid conflict most of the time, although there are times when they lock you into it and give you like these pseudo-boss battles. But give me a moment, I'm just gonna clean up these asteroids because I have like a minor compulsion to do so because they're on the screen, even though we probably made about 20 times the amount of money just by not shooting the asteroids that we... just by passively existing. Alright. So here's, the loop is also, sometimes you encounter enemies you don't like maybe these guys are jerks. We enter Mother Base and they get despawned. Now, here at Mother Base, there's all sorts of upgrades that we can purchase. Let's start on this screen. So, one of the things we could buy is this. For $100,000, display the distance to Mother Base on the radar. This updates our radar to let us know how far away we are from the base. Why not? Let's buy it. Detection radius. Upgrades the detection radius of your radar. I don't care. Moolah attractor. Strengthens the moolah attracting gravitational field around your ship, so moolah will be attracted from further away. I will definitely take that. Boss indicator is so cheap at this point. We can't afford the one I wanted, but... Boss indicator is so cheap, we might as well buy it. You can pretty much figure out what these are. 100 million to figure out where the sun is. No, thank you. I'm not going to go for the manager indicator, but I will talk about it. This indicator will show the location of the wormhole. Once you beat the system boss, you can jump between solar systems there. Oh, dude, we might actually be able to make this happen here. So this is the basic upgrades for our radar. If I switch here, we can also get weapon upgrades. Right now I've got a machine gun. It's got power level 3, so it does a decent amount of damage, but we could also, whoops, 1 second here. We could also get a second weapon. This is another machine gun. That would cost us 10 million, so it's a little pricey. For $1 billion, we could get a laser. And for 10 billion, we can get a machine gun. Or sorry, for 10 billion, we can get the rockets there. So at some point, we might be able to afford a second machine gun. But for now, these are far too expensive. Finally, these are like miscellaneous upgrades that we've got here. So we can increase our health for 16,000 or 64,000. That's like child's play at this point. We might as well max those out. Oh, you can go even higher than I was going before. Okay. You can also get an upgrade that makes it so you're kind of spec to beat enemies and get more money out of them. Like this right here will make it so enemies drop more money. This will make it so asteroids drop more money, and so on and so forth. You kind of get the idea that there's a lot of stuff going on here. Is pretty much what I was trying to get going here. So we have a boss indicator. Let's go fight the system boss. I'll just level with you. I've got essentially no idea what happens when we fight the system boss. I will say, we'll probably encounter like some screen-locked combat, maybe on the boss or maybe before it. I really, really like the design of this game. I think it's clever, and I think its best strength is actually that it's clever. Like, the use of incremental game mechanics or idle game mechanics as a kind of a central part of the gameplay loop is really cool, and I'm surprised that I have not seen more games do it, especially considering that Adventure Capitalist, Cookie Clicker, etc., are not only, like, wildly popular, but also a few years old at this point. It's kind of like one of those things where as soon as you experience it, you're like, oh, it's like a no-brainer that this should make it into games. By the way, there is a little bit more even. Like, you can see that I got a manager down here. This is our manager screen, essentially. These are other benefits. We rescue these people from throughout the universe, and then they come to work for us in our little high-rise tower here. So this guy, I don't know if we can navigate to him, but he gives us a 3% bonus to all of our production. So we can max this place out eventually, hopefully, with more and more managers. But it just goes to show you, there's even like an incremental game within an incremental game. But if we ever die, we lose these managers, so we got to be careful. Or at least we lose that manager. I will say, though, I think the weakest aspect of the game is the combat, basically because of its simplicity. It does feel a little consequence-free most of the time because, I mean, it's not really the focus of the game. The focus of the game is kind of the novelty of the incremental factor, in my opinion at least. But The space shooting, it's not like a Jonestown or an Ikaruga or something like that. It's a lot more simplistic than that. And again, outside of this like single screen locked combat, which happens when you get detected by enemies before, and you can't kill them before they send out like their surveillance call, you can just run away from whatever combat you want to, essentially, by outboosting the enemy and going back to Mother Base or docking with the planet. It also seems like sometimes if you close the game and then reopen it, it takes a while for the enemies to kind of scale back to the point that they're attacking a lot. So it starts maybe a little bit on the easy side every time you boot it up, and the longer it goes, sometimes, like I'm in this game to be a capitalist, okay? And sometimes when I've been on a run for like 40 minutes, there's so many enemies that I just have to ignore them. Otherwise, I'd get sidetracked and never actually get it done, or get anything done. But at the same time, the fact that the combat exists kind of allows the game to Trojan horse a little bit. Yeah, boss nearby, let's do it. Kind of allows the game to Trojan horse a little bit so that I can play an incremental game without feeling like I'm being fully unproductive, if that makes sense. Like, I've always liked the concept and the arithmetic behind idle games, for lack of a better word. And I think they present kind of like a cool dynamic math problem, but I've always been like, I'm just sitting here watching a number go up. If you deconstruct it to like the soul of the genre, I'm just watching a number go up, and that makes me feel like I'm wasting my time. So wrapping it in kind of a distracting veneer is not necessarily a bad thing. Alright, this is genuinely my first time fighting a boss. I'm pretty upgraded here. He does have 4,000 HP. So I'm thinking this is going to be relatively easy. I will say that, you know, if there's ever like a Vostok Inc. 2 or something like that, I think it's got kind of like Hand of Fate syndrome, where the design of the game is really strong and kind of obvious, where you go, I can't believe nobody's done this before. But the actual execution of the, you know, half of the gameplay layer could use a little bit more depth. And Hand of Fate, not to, you know, rag on Hand of Fate, which is a lovely game, but the third-person action segments, a little bit samey and a little bit easy. And I think the same, and it might be funny that if I die here in the process, but the same can sort of be said of Vostok Inc.'s combat, where, you know, it's kind of been there, done that in terms of the combat sense. But what really elevates it beyond just being kind of like a, you know, Space Pirates and Zombies clone or something like that is the idea that it's actually meant to be a secondary feature relative to the incremental aspects. So I think it succeeds on those merits. Get a combo of 100. I have never even looked at the combo system, which makes me feel like I have not done my due diligence, but max combo, I'll take it. Is it based on consecutive hits, or is it based on not taking damage? It must be based on consecutive hits, because it's hits in general, because I have taken damage over the course of this fight. But yeah, I mean, you can kind of get a feel for it here. Speaking honestly, the combat is not the strong suit. The strong suit is the idea that it's kind of like a game with an incremental game inside of it. And I apologize for not knowing the correct terminology. I believe it's idle game. Or incremental game. Maybe idle game is like it's a backhanded compliment. Well. Look who's crawling back with his monocle and tash. We don't call it that. Oh, we do when we're talking about bad guys. Indeed, it seems he's the bad guy, because he's a cyborg. He's got one horizontal eye, and then one eye that looks like the Spore logo. Indeed, it seems we underestimated you guys. Silence! Don't try and worm out of this. Heh. How's my lingo, boss? You look like Arnold's dad from the Magic School Bus. Yes, sir, sorry. It's just according to custom, you are now the head of the family. Thanks, but Vostok Inc. is perfectly capable of strong-arming its way through the cosmos without your help. Capiche? Plus, we run a perfectly legitimate capital enterprise here, and wouldn't want to associate myself with organized crime and thus draw the attention of the fuzz. Well, boss, with UFOs out of the way, we can finally take that wormhole to the next system. Let's roll. Oh, maybe there's various factions that you can go through as time goes on here. So I gotta... Can I open this? I have had loot crates before that I was not able to open because I didn't have the right weapon type. Yo, UFOs, get out of here, okay? Already killed your boss. So I'm gonna go back to Mother Base, and then we're gonna take a wormhole. And what's nice is that every planet in this solar system is now outfitted with the ATM satellites, which means that if I leave here, I should still keep collecting money here and not be too worried. This, by the way, is like my example of just running away. I'm happy they don't keep you locked in combat. I also don't know what I just saw on the screen there, but I'm happy they don't keep you locked in combat against your will, but... Oh, it's a level 8 asteroid, so this should give us, like, way more moolah, probably. But at the same time, it does feel a little cheap that you can just run away. So this is one of the more unique enemy types here. It's this snake that follows you around like Mega Man X style. I've decided at the present moment that I don't really want to fight him, so hello, Mother Base. Sorry. And we're going to jet to this wormhole here and see what's going on in the next galaxy. So at this point, you know, 20 minutes in, you're pretty much at what you see is what you get kind of territory. It is really a unique fusion of genre mechanics, and I think it succeeds the most on its design alone. You know, sometimes people use novelty as if it's a bit of a backhanded compliment in and of itself, but in this case, I think, you know, saying that it's a novelty or saying that it's a gimmick is actually a little bit complimentary to the design of the game. I got lucky and killed them before I got screen-locked combat, so let's go. If you like incremental or idle games, but you long for one that actually has, you know, quote-unquote, some more mechanics alongside of it, this might be right up your alley, and I think perhaps it's also a bellwether of games to come. But I said that about the Nemesis system in Shadow of Mordor as well, and you know, 3 years on from that, we're still waiting on new games to use the Nemesis system, so I might be completely wrong about this portent as well. Yeah. Stack spawns at 500 million. That must be the boss. Defeat the boss to unlock Cason. Let's go. Warp to system. It also seems like an alarmingly robust game. I know that these games are... Oh, we're still making money. Nice. I know these games are easy to scale, but again, I've played this on, like, using my living, conscious brain. I've played this for like 2 hours, 2.5 hours, and I've got 2.5 hours of idle time in it, and it just keeps going. I've reached like 1/8 of the level of wealth that you need to buy. Well, I mean, 1/8 of the way through the production tree. So it just continues forever, which I think is a good thing if you're looking for something that you're trying to get the largest number possible. Wait, are you Earthians from Earth? If he makes a joke about how that's not the preferred nomenclature, I'm giving it 1 extra star in the Game Pro review. Maybe. Why? Alright, you know what? Missed opportunity happens to the best of us. And you learnt spaceflight? That's hilarious. Hey, Scudiopal. Scudiopal. Come see what the Earthlings did. Look how excited they are. It's like watching a yellow squishy dog at a laptop. Who's a clever Homo sapien? Right, boss? While they enjoy a good stare, let's make ourselves at home. Yeah, okay, so I'm going to exploit all your resources if you don't mind. We don't have a planet indicator here, I think, so we might have to buy them again for a new station. Maybe we just have to find it first once? Oh, no, we just... Sorry, we have to track it by going like this. Yeah, there we go. All right. Otherwise, if you don't know where the planets are, you just follow these kind of like orbit lines that are going around here, and we'd get to Squiblius eventually. So let's see what kind of new ships we got here. They are much, much tankier. But I'm hoping that maybe we'll be able to ramp up our production that much faster here. It's really cool. And by the way, I went into this, you're seeing like a fresh reaction right now, because I went into this not realizing that it was going to be different enemies in every single wormhole. So again, I think the robust comment holds true. Alright, so we can still put the traditionals down here. I still think it makes sense to like buy 10 mines and buy 10 farms. We should definitely get the ATM right off the bat. We'll buy 10 power stations, and then there's probably a more efficient way to do this that again I'm just not calculating. We'll buy several of those. We're making 1,000 moolah per second. So you know, in 15 minutes that's like 1,000 seconds. We're making 1 million. Not too bad. Hey little buddy, having a busy day? We're conducting market recon. Oh, and who's a clever scouter? Yes, you're a clever Woodley. Look, I don't like this guy already, but I feel like I would like him if he was voiced by Stephen Colbert. A clever Woodley terrestrial surveyor in your grown-up spaceship, aren't you? Thanks. If you get hungry, we'll set out a big bowl of milk at Galeen 7. Humans drink milk, don't they? We do, but... Marvelous. Skutiopal prepares 6 million gallons of human milk. That's too much. You can say it's going to keep them busy, but I'm pretty sure it's gonna keep the cows even busier. Let's just stack up here. But to be honest with you, I think at this point, you've pretty much... Oh, we've landed on 10 planets, so actually we will unlock the newest level of something here. Yeah, we get waste processing plants. So let's get 10, 10, 10, and then waste processing are 263,000 for 10. And they make 120 per second. I mean, they usually do, like, discrete intervals, in case that's not abundantly clear. Like, I guess, like, what we would do now is kind of work backwards recursively, and we'd go back to the last planet we went to. We should definitely get this, by the way. We'd go back to the last planet we went to, and we would put waste processing plants on that, go back through the wormhole, go back to our solar system, and, again, put waste processing plants. But you kind of get the idea. Despite being mechanically, again, quite robust, I think... At this point, you've pretty much seen what there is to see in Vostok Inc. At its core, it is an incremental / idle game, but it's wrapped in other mechanics that make it a little bit more interesting and digestible for someone like me who is interested in the idea of an idle game, but for whatever, you know, psychological reasons, feels like watching numbers go up on the screen is just like one level of abstraction too close to what a video game actually is to feel good about playing it. That's not me looking down on other people. That's me highlighting the idiosyncrasies of my own brain. So this kind of Trojan horses these idle game mechanics in there, and it's very satisfying once you get that economy up and running, or if you fall asleep with the game on and all of a sudden you've got God mode turned on. It doesn't have the best space combat. It's a little bit simplistic, but I think on the strength of its design alone, this is a game that's interesting to play and was fun to take a look at. So again, it is worth noting this was a sponsored video. Big ups to the sponsor. Thank you very much for choosing me to take a look at the game. Vostok Inc. is pretty cool. Go check it out on Steam. It's 15 bucks USD. It came out on July 24th, 2017, and there will be a link in the video description below to check it out for yourself on Steam if you're interested. I think you know if you're going to be interested in this. If you're the kind of person who's into idle games, I think it's a cool twist on the formula, and that's pretty much like the byline right there. For now, it's also like extraordinarily playable. It is one of those games that you're like, oh, just one more planet. Because as soon as you accomplish something and you get like a financial hit, you then go, okay, well, I can get the next unlock in like 5 minutes if I just keep playing. And then before you know it, you're like, let me leave the game up when I go to the grocery store, and you know, you're as lost as I am. For now, though, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the episode, click the like button. It helps out a great deal. And of course, subscribe if you want to see more in the future. But for now, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.